So tell me, Ernest, what would you do to me, aesthetically? Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you have not been here before, my name is Debbie and I read a lot of books. Yeah, I'm going to do something slightly different for Series Sunday today, because normally I talk about the books that I am currently reading, tell you kind of about what the story, how I'm feeling about it and where I think it might go. Today I am mainly going to focus on just letting you know what books I am currently in the process of reading or about to start reading, because if you haven't been here before you might feel a bit thrown in at the deep end on my Series Sunday videos, because you'd have to go back and watch everything to know what's going on, unless you just like just randomly popping in to random videos. Me, I personally like to watch everything in order, so if I find somebody new that I like, I will go back to the very beginning of their channel and I'll watch everything in order. I am planning on trying to sort out a playlist so that you can see the different book series, so it's not just a big clump of Series Sunday videos, but you can actually organise it by the book series. I do hope to do that at some point. Maybe I'll get a chance to do that today when I'm making this, but I have got a few things I want to do around the house, so yeah. I do hope to do that just to make it a bit more organised for people who might be looking for specific series. So yeah, I'm going to start on BorrowBox. I read a lot of books on BorrowBox because it is connected to the local library. It's free. It might not have all the books that I'm looking for, but it's a really great way to find books that I probably wouldn't normally find or that I might not really be aware of. So when I look at what's on here at the moment, what I am currently reading that is in a series, this one was actually recommended to me by a friend at the theatre, James, so thank you James for recommending this series. I'm literally just on the first book and I'm about a quarter of the way into the first book, and it's Dead Witch Walking by Kim Harrison. We were talking about the different fantasy books that we were reading. I talked a little bit about the Beaufort books, which I'll talk about in a second, and yeah, he just recommended it to me. He was just like, if you really like your witchy stuff, you might enjoy the Kim Harrison books. So yeah, this is book one of the Hollows series by Kim Harrison. And yeah, I'm still getting to know it. It's about a woman called Rachel Morgan. She lives in a world where a bioengineered virus wiped out most of the world's human population, exposing the existence of supernatural communities that have lived alongside humanity. But yeah, so she works for Inland Security. At the beginning of the book, she does something which gets her fired from her job. It's very much a case of like, oh, you're fired. No, I quit! I'm still feeling like I'm getting to know Rachel and the world in which this story is being told. But yeah, it's in fantasy fiction. This first book is apparently 432 pages on ebook, and it was released in 2009. But yeah, so I'm still getting to know it, but I am enjoying what I have read so far. So yeah, that's a new one. I'm at chapter 7. And then I have recently got Bridget Jones's Diary, because why not? I have a feeling reading this might feel a bit dated. This is the kind of story that, it says the ebook was released in 2016. I'm not completely sure when actually the first book came out. Oh, the other ones are on here now, because when I first downloaded this book the other ones weren't available, but they do now have The Edge of Reason, Bridget Jones's Baby and Mad About the Boy. I've heard that The Edge of Reason was it The Edge of Reason? That was actually quite different from the film. Oh, it does say that she departs Notting Hill for the sparkling shores of Thailand, but I heard that it was slightly different, The Edge of Reason, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, so that's a new series I'm going to be starting soon. I've got more Confessions of a 40-something Fuck-Up by Alexandra Potter. I adored the first book. The fact that it is also narrated by Sally Phillips. I love her. I love her so much. And as I said before, it does feel, you know, having not read Bridget Jones yet, well, when I listened to Confessions of a 40-something Fuck-Up, the first one, I did say that it was giving me elements of Bridget Jones and Miranda and things, two things which Sally Phillips has actually been in. I'm very much looking forward to the next story in that world. Now, Kindle. We all know I've been doing quite a few on Kindle. So, when you look at the most recent ones, you've got the Jessie Hunt series by Blake Pierce, which has 1,000,001 books. At the moment, I have recently finished book 38, and there's no sign of this series stopping. When I talked about this series, I did talk about the fact that I had discovered that there's a lot of conspiracy theories about Blake Pierce, because Even the bio of Blake Pearce at the beginning of these books doesn't actually say anything about Blake Pearce as a person. It only talks about the books that have been released, which has led people to believe that either the books are written by AI or that it's multiple people writing under the pseudonym. Based on editing issues, I do wonder if it's AI. I'm leaning more towards the AI side of things than it being multiple authors. Mainly because there does seem to be... I would have thought that if it was multiple authors, it would probably be more obvious. The way they're written and a style of writing can be quite hard to emulate, especially if it is more than one or even more than two. Trying to fit into a certain style of writing can be difficult without letting your own style through. I think it would be more obvious if it was multiple writers writing these. I'm leaning more towards AI if the conspiracy theory is true. I've got the TJ Green books. There's a few of these. So there's the Whitehaven Witches. I recently read book 13, which I thought was supposed to be ending things because there's like a wedding, there's a pregnancy, but it seems that TJ Green, she's obviously a very real person. I've seen pictures of her, but there were no pictures of Blake Pearce anywhere. There's the Storm Moon Shifters, and there is also another one which is Call of the King. That says 3 of 3, so I can start those ones and get those out for you. That one's a Rise of the King. That one's a King Arthur one, so I'm not sure if that actually is in the same world as the other ones. This is an Arthurian fantasy. That's hard to say. Arthurian? Arthurian. It's about King Arthur and the legend, and yeah, so that sounds like an interesting one. So yeah, you got those. I have been reading the Unalina series by Lars Kepler. I thought the last one was the last one. Not right at all. I got to the end of it just like, that can't be the last one, based on how it ended, and I was right. The Spider is most definitely not the final book. There is another one that has already been released in Sweden, but it's not available over here yet, so I'm very much looking forward to the next one there. I've also got the whole Beaufont collection, which it's down as book 1, book 2, book 3, book 4, and book 5, and book 6. And it's just basically done by character, I think, there. So it's Liv, Sophia, then Sophia again. The fairy godmother was Paris. Then the extraordinary fixer was Rose, and now we're on to Jen. So, yeah. Very much enjoying those. And then, in kind of like the same kind of... not the same world, but the same kind of vein. Mainly because I think it's just that these authors are friends with Sarah Nufke and Michelangelo, and that's the Mortality Bound series by S.W. Clarke and Raimi Vance. Because Raimi Vance, he was the source of a named character in the Beaufont series. Sarah Nufke named one of her characters Raimi because of the author Raimi Vance. So, yeah. There's also Setting Fire with Dragons, the complete series by S.W. Clarke and Raimi Vance. So that's going to be interesting. Raimi Vance. It's American, so it's probably Vance, isn't it? Basically, I am reading everything. I have also downloaded Watermelon by Marion Keyes because I started listening to, was it Again Rachel or Rachel Again? I think it's called Rachel Again. And then realised that it's a complete family saga. And so I went to the very beginning and got Watermelon because it was just like, I don't like doing things out of order. And it really annoyed me when I started with Sophia in the Beaufont series, only to find out that I'd missed the entirety of Liv. So in my mind I went, okay, I'm going back to the prequel before carrying on. But it was a bit of an internal battle because it was just like, I read this out of order. This is not right. But yeah, so in my mind I had to calm myself down and say, it's okay, just think of Liv as the prequel. So you're not technically doing it out of order, even though I completely was. It was really hard for me. Yeah, I think that's all of them at the moment in regards to series. I do have other series on my Kindle, which have been on here for years. When I first got Kindle, I went through and just downloaded a load of free books, ones that have really strange front covers, But yeah, because I've got like a book called Cross My Heart, which sounds very cheesy, a book called Death by Honeymoon. There's a book called Fate by Tallulah Gracie that says I've read, but I do not remember reading this. That was part of a series, the Timeless trilogy. I've got a book called Free to Die by Robert McIlwain. I've even got The War of the Worlds on here. I've got some classics on here, which he was just like, I'm going to download some classics and I'm going to read them. And I never did. Like, I've got the complete Sherlock Holmes on here, which I want to read at some point. I've got Les Mis, which I've heard is one hell of a book. I've got A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. I've got The Picture of Dorian Gray. I've got David Copperfield. I've got Great Expectations. I've got loads of Shakespeare which I have never read, including A Midsummer Night's Dream, Othello, King Richard III, As You Like It, Winter's Tale, King Richard II, Two Gentlemen of Verona, and The Tragedy of Titus Andronicus. These were books that I never studied. The books that I studied at school were Macbeth, Twelfth Night, and then I did little bits of Romeo and Juliet when I was at college. I'm pretty sure those are the only three that I have actually read. So, yeah. And considering the fact that I'm a person who I work better with understanding it, the language, when it's performed properly, I will see how I got on in understanding it by reading it. There's a couple of series on here which I've kept, which, admittedly, I never talked about, mainly because I think I probably read them before I made the channel. Like, there was the New York series by Anna Adams, like A French Star in New York. That was a really good series, but I think I had to delete one of them. I think one of those books, the front cover disappeared. I've no idea why. One book series that I have never talked about, which I so enjoyed, which had 11 books, was the Dana E. Donovan books. It's the Tony Marcella mysteries, starting off with The Witch's Ladder. That was a bloody good series. I almost want to read them again, actually, because it started off, you get this guy who is, what was he, about middle-aged, and it's a kind of a fantasy series, and he stumbles upon a witch, and it was kind of like, it's like a detective series, but through magic, he is transformed into his younger self in the modern day. So it's like it's not like he goes back in time, he just gets his younger body back. And yeah, if you haven't heard of that series, I definitely recommend that. I so enjoyed it. It said I have 11 of 12 items in this series. Did I never finish this? Oh my god! There was 12 of them, and I only read 11. I'm going to have to reread them, aren't I? It's been such a long time since I read those. Yeah, so that's the series I have been reading and plan on reading. And then there's also the Robert L. Crane Girl in the Box series. I remember reading book 1, but I do not remember finishing that. And that was from ages ago, like years ago. So that's the one that I will probably read through at some point. I am looking forward to carrying on with all the different T.J. Green books. Obviously, she's not churning them quite as quickly as Blake Pierce did. At this point, for obvious reasons, because she's actually writing them. And so I'm like on the edge of my seat waiting for the next one's coming out. Yeah, so that is a list of the books that I am currently reading, the series that I am currently reading, and I'm very, very much enjoying this. I remember when I started the series Sunday Books, and it was because I was reading so many books in a series, and I just thought this would be a way to talk about multiple books, because a lot of booktubers that I watch will talk about multiple books in one video, whereas me, if I have spent time devouring a book, I generally like to talk about that one book. But when it comes to a series, because so much happens, I thought it would make more sense to try and do multiple books when I talked about them. So like, I'll start off with book 1, and then I'll try to do it in threes after that. So after book 1, I'll then do a sum up when I get to book 3, and then 6, and then 9. It just depends on how many books are in the series, but it's worked out in threes for the most part. Yeah, that's what I'll be reading at the moment. So yeah, thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for watching. Hello to the new subscribers. I have seen that number going up again. That's very sweet of you to admit to watching my videos to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much. If you do have any series that you're reading at the moment, do pop it in the comments. And I have taken recommendations. I've taken a few recommendations off of YouTube. And I started the Robert R. McCammon books from a recommendation, and I've had a few verbal ones as well. Like, I've had friends recommend books as well. So yeah, if you do have any recommendations, because as I said, I've got quite an eclectic taste. I will literally read anything, and I'm not really a person that just stops reading anything as well, because even if something's a bit of a slow start, I will push through. I'm currently doing that with Daddy by Emma Cline. I'm not sure how I feel about Daddy by Emma Cline at the moment. It's described as short stories. I've done the first section, I guess. I'm an hour and 25 minutes in. We'll see how I get on with that. Anyway, so that's the series I'm currently reading. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already and you are watching the videos on the regular, because it really doesn't take much just to press that button. And then I am just in your subscriptions and you'll see whenever a video pops up. So yeah, thank you, and I will see you next time with another video. Stay safe. I love you all. Mwah. Bye!